Welcome to Sheriff's Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV 7. Join us every week as we talk various aspects of law enforcement and how important it is for the citizens and law enforcement to work together. Now join us for another edition of Sheriff Talk on KWN Live and Local TV Channel 7. Welcome into Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. I'm Evan Stahl alongside Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett. Sheriff?
Good to be here. Been absent a few weeks, but of course everybody's been busy with the water. We've had quite a few roads in Marion County closed. Hadn't had a whole lot of damage, but we have had a lot of roads closed.
Are they still any closed? Right
there's some still closed. And coming over here, if you come 41 past the old Riverside Restaurant, those two low places on the right are full. They're really full. So I seen some houses right below the Justice Center yesterday that was surrounded with water, and this morning the water has, evaporated or gone back. But probably still looking at a couple more days before we get back to normal.
And it's supposed to rain tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. We were actually, for Sunday I was out looking around, and we actually, and I was talking to County Mayor yesterday, we really were lucky, because I think if we'd had another couple inches of rain, we may have had major flooding everywhere. It's funny, the water got just a lot of the major highways to the road and just kind of stopped. If you had an extra inch or two, I believe we'd had major problems.
Well, we definitely had the amount of rain. I think what really helped us, because it was over like a 12-day period.
Right.
And we had, somewhere of upwards to 8 to 12 inches, depending on where you were at, right. And which is devastating for.
Well, one of the things
that helped 3 or 4 days. That
one of the things
really
that helped
bad.
us here was like Saturday night. We were, all the creeks and everything was already at flood stage, and we were notified by the National Weather Service that we was going to get about a 4-hour downpour, and we thought we were in trouble, but the rain wasn't as heavy. Twice we once the storm, when it approached us, kind of split off. Most of it went north, most of it went through Atlanta. But if we had gotten those 4 inches, those 4 hours of hard downpour, we could have really had some flash flood, and it really would have done some damage. But again, we were lucky, and it didn't turn out as bad as we thought it might be. Last Tuesday I couldn't be here because County Mayor called for a emergency meeting, because we at that time we thought we were going to really have some problems. Especially in South Pittsburgh, they've had flooding. If you go to South Pittsburgh, a lot of the back part of the,
I've seen some video of
back part of the town is right
like
there next to the mountain, and those creeks have water run off. Has really caused a lot of damage over there in the years, and we thought they was going to have another situation like that, but it turned out not bad at all.
I know that I saw some video. It may have been on, I think maybe Channel 3, where one of the roads that looked like it was a creek, actually.
I seen that.
And I think that was close to where that lady had died.
It was camping. Yes. That was last December, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, we've had very interesting weather, and I hate to even bring it up. We do have rain Wednesday night and Thursday, but maybe they're talking about old man weather coming back about a week from now.
What somebody was telling me at the jail before I came down here, that possibly Sunday or Monday is supposed to get cold.
Yep.
March is a crazy month.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And I tell you what worries me, being my dad and stuff, we had fruit trees and stuff. Everything's blooming out. This is too early. We're going to lose. I'm probably going to lose big peach crop, apple crop and stuff down in Georgia.
Well, if they're watching today, which is Tuesday, we're supposed to be 65 degrees here in the latter part of February.
And you've already got Bradford pears and things that are in full bloom. Mm-hmm. Leaves are coming out on them, and they're not going to survive historically through the month of March. March is a crazy weather. You remember what was a blizzard '93, March the 13th?
Yep. Yeah, I remember it well.
That was the one time that I could use a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread. You know,
Were you working?
I was working at South Pittsburgh when that happened.
Well, I was working with the ambulance service.
We just stayed. We couldn't get home, so we just
well,
stayed
nobody
on
could
job.
get to relieve us, so we were stuck at the ambulance service, and oddly enough, it was really a calm when all the snow. We didn't have a call for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
It just
broke.
broke loose. Yes. Yeah. But that was one instance. You know, it started snowing that afternoon. You know, and then
night,
snowed all night, and the next day it's snowing, and you know, this thing, no snow was up 25, 30 inches.
Well,
high.
some of the drifts along the roads were unreal, and you know, and I actually thought about the fact that they say a foot of or an inch of rain is 16 inches of snow. Can you imagine what we'd had? We would have been able to dig out. You know, they had to come up from up north.
We had one little generator down there. I mean, everything was paralyzed. Like I said, that was the one instance I can remember that a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk would have come in handy.
Yeah.
But we had one little generator, one drop cord, and we would make a pot of coffee and drink it, then unplug it and plug the radios up. That went on for about 3 or 4 days. I mean, you know, we're not prepared, but you know it's hard to.
Well, you're probably more prepared now.
Now,
you know, with.
But it's hard to justify spending that kind. I mean, is that once in our lifetime that would happen?
Well, we could only hope.
And the power was off for 3 or 4 days.
Yep, certainly was. It was that was really hopefully a once in a lifetime event.
But it could happen again here in March this year.
Absolutely, I guess we're
with all the
susceptible
rain.
to that
If you know
every time.
the conditions were right. Because I remember.
And if you remember, it's like 70 degrees the day before.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it got cold that night,
Yeah.
you know, and then the snow came from out west, but it traveled through lower Alabama and Mississippi, then it got to around Huntsville. And for some reason, the jet stream, the way it was, it just made a sharp turn and hit us straight on.
Certainly did. It was, you know, people, I guess, will always be, in our generation, will always be talking about the blizzard of 93. Every time we get any significant snowfall.
I had a little dog about that tall, and when I finally got home, we put her outside, and I thought we were going to have to call the rescue squad out to find it.
I thought that I can see that, you know, because I mean it was 21, 22 inches, just normal
Plus,
snow.
your weather stayed around 20 degrees all the time, so nothing melted for days.
It was. I still recall. One of the first calls that we got was a chest pain, and it took us an hour, I think right at an hour and 20 minutes for me to drive from here to Erlanger, from Dade. And I remember there were so many cars, you know, where you go down 27, you break off at 24, and you go to the bridge to 27 north towards 4th Street, where you get off to go to the hospital. There was so many cars that were stranded on those overpasses that I would have to, I mean, I was like 2 miles an hour, and I'd go down and then make the turn, and it was like going through a maze trying to get through there. I'll never forget it.
You know, it's amazing the cars and things that just abandoned, left in the highway.
It was. I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, they were just abandoned, and there wasn't a lot of folks moving at all. And it was it was a trying time to get somebody to the hospital for sure.
Trying time to do anything for about a week, wasn't it?
It was about a week.
5 days, 6 days.
Yeah, it was definitely that. We're hoping that's not what's coming.
We're just reminiscing about the blizzard '93 because like I said before, the thing that sticks in my mind is March the 13th. I know we'll forget that day. And it was beautiful weather the day before, and then just all worked together, and they just hit us full blast. And I think everybody kind of got caught off guard, didn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think it really was because it was so warm the day before. It was kind of deceiving. Well, it's 70. Yeah, they're calling for snow.
Of course, I can remember I was working the city of Jasper back in '81 or '82 when the big flood hit Highway 41. You remember that? And you know, drowned this lady and 2 kids, but it tore up all the 41 from Haletown all the way to the Tennessee Highway Patrol Station.
I think I do remember.
You know, and it started raining like that day, but it just rained, just downpour for hours and hours and hours, and finally all the water on Etna Mountain just didn't have no place to go, and it just come over the top of the mountain and washed out. If you know where Sullivan's bait and tackle shop was on 41, Randall Sullivan, it washed it across the road out into that. There's a boat dock there, and destroyed his business. And he had
much like the subway that just happened here.
Except this just a big wall of water come down the mountain and just took his Randall Sullivan's. He had a garage full of antique cars and destroyed all them. They're still, some of them still sitting up there. But they're destroyed. But he just left them sitting up there up behind this new building that he built years ago. But
the current flooding that we had, have y'all discovered any roads that are not necessarily flood but have damage on them?
None that I've been aware of. I seen the state out patching roads when I was in the city. We've had a lot of. I've seen potholes that, it's swift water, even though it didn't like a waterfall, but water moving at a small.
Well, it'll still break loose.
Yeah.
I know that we had County Road 93 in Jackson County still down in. They're assessing it. That goes off to Hogjaw Valley, back over towards your county, and it's dropped several inches, about halfway.
But now
through
we've
the lane.
had some problems on Highway 108 going up Whitwell Mountain. If you about halfway up, there was a slide years ago, and the state went in there and dug it out and put rocks. But I've got a lady that lives out there, and she was telling me yesterday that there's developing a big crack. Of course, over here on 41 is got a lot of problems on that road. They're over there working.
And that's before the flood.
Before the flood. Right. But, I was talking to somebody yesterday about it, and I guess you don't stop and think a lot of, like the old 41, 108, and some of the roads here in Dade County, I'm sure, were built 70, 80 years ago. And over time, water has worked on them and pushed them, and I don't know what they're going to do on 41. I noticed that last time I went through there was a crack that wide. And
I know here in Dade County, County Road 6 has dropped a little bit, and that's White Oak Gap that goes up towards the Davis community. Talking with our road superintendent yesterday, they're concerned about that. They worked on that. They also worked on a couple of dirt roads that come off of Lookout Mountain that had debris washed into the roadways and trees, and they've had to go back and grade it and get it clear. They've got those open, but Hales Gap, there's some areas there that had slipped, and so there's several areas that they're concerned about.
I was talking to somebody yesterday between Nashville and Memphis. Between Nashville and Austin P up Clarksville, Tennessee. They had shut Interstate 24 down because water had got across it. So
that ain't good.
But that was a mess over there.
Oh, I bet. Woo.
But I don't know what county it is. I think it's probably 60 or 80 miles between Nashville and Clarksville. And it's Interstate 24. But somebody was telling me yesterday, I guess somebody in Hamilton County, we had in-service training yesterday, and we actually, I'll talk about that in the next sequence, but some of the Hamilton County guys was telling me that they'd heard that they closed Interstate 24 down between Nashville and Clarksville because water was over the interstate. So
wow, not good at all. Speaking of a break, we're going to take our first break of Sheriff Talk. You're watching Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. We'll have more after this.
I'm hungry and leave satisfied at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon. Cloud's Pizza uses only the freshest ingredients, and we hand toss our own pizza dough. Our pizzas are made from scratch when you order, so they're always fresh. And don't forget about our famous Sand Mountain cheese sticks. You can eat from the daily buffet or try a mouth-watering hamburger or cheeseburger. Come see your friends at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon, and never leave hungry. Call ahead at 597-3100 for Cloud's Pizza. Visit us on Facebook at Cloud's Pizza and more.
Come see us at Cloud's Pizza.
The Moore family name has built a legacy of trust, compassion, and peace of mind by standing with families during time of loss. Now in our 70th year, the Moore family commitment grows even stronger, from affordable, traditional services to cremation. Our experienced staff stands ready to follow through on you and your family's wishes. Since 1945, the Moore family of funeral homes, North Sand Mountain and Trenton, always dedicated to those we serve. delivering top-quality primary health care locally. We are Northeast Alabama Health Services. With 7 locations, there's one near you. Scottsboro, Section, North Sand Mountain and Higdon, Skyline, Woodville, Fife, and Fort Payne. We accept Medicare, Medicaid, and of course your private insurance. If you're unemployed, low income, or have a high copay or deductible, you may also qualify for a reduced rate office visit as low as $16. Ask about our free medication program, and ladies, you may qualify for a free or reduced rate mammogram. Dental referrals for our patients with tooth removal and fillings for only $15. Putting your health concerns first, we're Northeast Alabama Health Services. Cervical cancer screenings now available at Northeast Alabama Health Services. A time-tested financial institution equipped with the latest banking technology, the Bank of Dade, with mobile banking to fit your on-the-go lifestyle. Download our latest app today for your iPhone, Android, or tablet to bank on the go. Check your balance, pay bills, make deposits, and keep track of your account anytime and anywhere with the Bank of Dade's smartphone app. Make life easier by using today's most advanced banking technology to your advantage. Call us at 657-6842 or visit on the web at bankofdade.com. Your hometown bank since 1956, the Bank of Dade. Main office is on Highway 11 North in Trenton, and drive-thrus on Highway 11 North and Highway 136 West. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You know what they say about all work and no play. Well, at Mountain View Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, we believe that hard work should be rewarded. That's why we're giving you $15,000 in total savings on the 2019 Ram 1500. Or choose between a Dodge Journey or Jeep Renegade for just $15,988. All during Ram Truck Month. So come shop the #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer in the Tennessee Valley. Mountain View Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Alabama Highway. #1 for a reason.
Back now to Sheriff Talk here on KWN-TV. Sheriff Bo Burnett, Marion County, with us today. Talking about the first segment, we talked about some of the roads and flooding and different things, and it seems like it's all too frequent. We have to talk about officers losing their life, and Chattanooga just had experience of that over the weekend. A gentleman that went to police academy graduated in January. Yeah. And was with from what I understand, was field training officer was with them, and they were out surveying a manhole. Making something.
A lot of times you'll see those sewer systems getting water in them, and I seen one in Jasper doing the other day. Water was shooting up out of the manhole cover. I guess they get full too. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
I think that's really makes it rough on the sewer system, because that water goes into the sewer system
right
there in Jasper or wherever. I guess it overflows the ponds or something. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I know it's not good on them.
It can't be good on. When you see water bubbling out of a sewer system, it can't be good. But
he was out. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and it's very dangerous. And we understand. Of course, they put out they found the vehicle Sunday.
Only 3 miles from the scene.
Yeah, and then they ended up putting the person they felt like that was the cause of it, which turned out she's been arrested, but put her on the top 10 TBI most wanted list, which got basically her photo and all the information out all over the South. I mean, it was even on Fox News that they had, that on Sunday morning, I think, where they put her on the 10 most wanted, and turned out she was from the area and
postmaster at Soddy
Daisy, and
probably a well-known person in Soddy Daisy,
Yeah, some of the things that I'd read, I mean, her dad was a well-known coach in the Soddy Daisy area. I mean, so she had a lot of connections to the area, and it's really, really a sad thing for the family, for the Chattanooga Police Department, having to go through this. I understand he had moved here from Cincinnati.
And I was telling you during our first break, I was notified by Sheriff Fuller from Franklin County, Tennessee this morning. He's been in contact with Hamilton County officials, and they're taking the officer's body back to Cincinnati for the burial. But he was thinking maybe they were going to travel 24, maybe escorted by some Chattanooga officers. I'm sure I'm not really been notified, but he was wanting to, if we did that, to have patrol cars out on the interstate to kind of honor him as he goes by. So I may, if that works out this afternoon, I may, like I said, give Ray a call. If nothing else, just turn the lights on and kind of respect them when they go
absolutely, absolutely. That would be great. It's just anytime that you can do something like that, and the family, I'm sure, will be going back and where they can get a sense of not feeling alone.
Right. I read in the paper this morning, I believe, or yesterday, that there was planning on 30 officers from Chattanooga going. I'm assuming that they may be in line behind the hearse or whatever to follow them all the way to Cincinnati. That's a hard thing to do, I bet.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's getting way too frequent, from either, automobile.
I don't think he had any previous law enforcement experience until he went to Chattanooga, had he? Or
he moved, from what I read, that he'd moved to Chattanooga because he was like 35 years old, but he wanted to get into law enforcement. I think his dad or an uncle had been in the fire service and may have just retired, and he wanted to do that. Something he came to Chattanooga to get into the police academy and graduated and was actually doing his ride-along service with a field training officer when this happened.
I see where the lady turned herself in, and bond was set at $350,000. And
the thing that I thought was that the judge said she could be under house arrest, which I'm assuming they'll put a band on her ankle or whatever, where she has to stay inside.
We do that, a GPS band. It's monitored by a company that actually you can set parameters on this thing, like if not to be outside state Tennessee or whatever, and then actually it's the technology is good. You can use those systems, and if they come to Trenton, Georgia, it'll alert the system that they've gone outside that boundary
geographical
line.
area.
Yeah.
I think this was like house arrest. She
Right.
couldn't leave her house, and she couldn't drive. But she's not been able to make that bond.
Well, the bond was $350,000, and the way the bonds work, to do a property bond, you have to do a deed of trust, which more or less means that you're putting your house or whatever up as a collateral, and the law says it has to be no liens on it, has to be free and clear, plus it has to be valued at 1.5 times what the bond is. So, what do we figure, around $500,000?
Yeah, about a half
That's
million. Close to it.
That would take a lot, or do
a big house,
or take
land,
or professional bondman, and by law you're required to pay 10%, which would be $35,000. She may not be able to make bonds. She hadn't as of yesterday afternoon, I don't believe. So,
but it is a lot of money. But it is an horrendous crime per se. Anytime a law enforcement officer gets hit, and of course, I mean, she has the presumption of innocence.
She does.
I mean, absolutely. And
I would never sit here and say that she's guilty because I don't know the facts.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We don't.
It probably would have been a benefit to her to stay on the scene instead of fleeing. And a lot of people that I've seen over the years flee not out of trying to get away, just panic, just want to get away.
Right.
A lot of that's human nature, but it would have been best her interest to stay. She didn't do that.
Try to render aid.
Try to render aid. That's what's going to really get her is she's. If you ever get to the point of getting in court, there's not going to be much sympathy for her because I'm assuming that, like I said, I don't want to prejudge her, but I'm assuming that from what I read in the paper, and what I know about is what I read in the paper, she did know she struck somebody. I believe. I believe I read that.
I haven't read anything that
because it was rainy and stormy and bad, but I'm sure that they had blue lights on.
You would think they were out checking you'd think they had plenty of emergency lights on. So anyway, if you're.
Well, she had to know. Well, I don't know. I think when they actually found her car sitting in the driveway in front of her house, it had damage to the front of the car.
And from what the preliminary things that came out in the media is the fact that whoever struck her, and of course they definitely had enough information that they felt like they could make an arrest on the case, is the fact that she had struck some barriers before she actually hit him that they had in the road. So, I guess it's really a terrible thing. A law enforcement officer loses his life. Families having to mourn. The whole department's having to mourn.
Of course, at the same time, the training officer for Chattanooga, we've got in service this week, and I won't talk about that later on. But actually, Officer Ron Zirk, who's the second, I believe, in command in the training division, is coming over Wednesday and speak. But his supervisor died unexpectedly Sunday night, and I'm assuming from a heart attack. I think he was 40.
Oh, no.
46, 47-year-old, 48-year-old. So they've had 2 tragic deaths there in 1 week.
That's way young.
Way young.
Way young. You're watching Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. We'll take another break. We'll be back with Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett right after this.
Georgia Northwestern Technical College is now accepting applications for classes. We offer programs in business, health, industrial, and public service at 6 campus locations with financial aid options as well. Take day, evening, or online classes to get your degree, diploma, or certificate. Apply now. Drop by one of our campuses today or check us out at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Get focused. Get hired.
Looking around your home thinking it may be time for a new look? Let Comfort Gallery in Kimball help you make perfect choices for every room in your home. Living room, bedroom, dining room suites from all the major furniture manufacturers. If we don't have what you need in the store, browse our full-color interactive kiosk to find exactly what you need. And don't forget a new mattress set. After all, sleeping well makes everything better. At Comfort Gallery, we offer free delivery and setup, 1-year free layaway, and 6 and 12 months, same as cash. Comfort Gallery, 780 Main Street, 1 mile north of I-24, exit 152A in Kimball, Tennessee.
Have lunch or dinner at Guthrie's, home of the original Golden Fried Chicken Finger and the best chicken finger sauce in the world. Guthrie's can help you plan your family's meals or get-togethers with bucket specials every Tuesday, those delicious wings on Wednesday, and platters every day of the week. Plus, get sweet tea by the gallon. Remember, Guthrie's has a party room for small gatherings, too. Guthrie's, Highway 136 West in Trenton, home of those Golden Fried Chicken Fingers and the best chicken finger sauce in the world.
Guthrie's, not fast food, good food fast.
NL Tax and Bookkeeping is ready to serve all of your tax needs. Nancy Anderton's been serving the tri-state area since 1978. Now you can get your taxes prepared with no out-of-pocket expenses. Ask about up to a $1,200 refund advance. It's fast, easy, safe, and convenient. NL Tax and Bookkeeping is open 8:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and 8:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Questions about the Affordable Care Act? We have those answers too. And we offer a free form price comparison. Experienced and professional tax services. NL Tax and Bookkeeping. 500 Alabama Highway 73, 7 miles from downtown Trenton. Call today at 706-657-4758 or 256-597-2829. NL Tax and Bookkeeping. 706-657-4758 or 256-597-2829.
Sheriff Talk continuing here on KWN TV. We're visiting today with Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett. Talking about
Brother Ray's left us, ain't he? He's in, you say some of them?
He had to go to a meeting in Somerville at the time, and I'm not real sure. I don't know if that was a drug task force meeting.
He was sick and wasn't able to make our quarterly law enforcement meeting.
Yeah, I asked him about that, and he said he was sick. He just, hated.
That's okay. We had it at Mud Creek, and of course it's his time to buy. So
he had a good meal on him.
I told some of his officers. I said, "Tell him I didn't eat for 2 days." We had and the new sheriff from
DeKalb County?
County was there.
Good.
Young.
We hope to include him.
Fairly young fella, and he had a lot of his officers there. We had probably about 50.
Wow.
I had 10 or 12, and Jackson County had 10 or 12, and counting everybody, we had about 50.
That has become a very good thing that y'all have started to be able to exchange, right here on the lines.
Down at Mud Creek, we don't we don't order. We do a buffet. They'll come in there and set it up on tables, so you.
I've eaten with y'all down there.
Ooh-wee.
It's good. I mean, they have some great food down there for sure. But
And got a good room. We use a room back to the right, meeting room where we're away from the public. So, I think it's my time next. I'll probably have it at my training center.
that'd be a good way to show it up. I mean,
Yeah.
show everybody what you got over
We've
there.
got enough room to hold it, and what I do is I cater it in. So, but it's my time next. Ray and them will probably do like I did. They'll probably skip 2 days of eating, so they pay me back.
Yeah, that'll be good. But it's just really, really good to be able to exchange information.
Well, we had the same
know each other.
problem we have every time.
Sitting with the same
me
people.
and the sheriff from Jackson County, the new sheriff from DeKalb County was there. First thing Chuck looked around, he said, "Look," and next thing they're all my guys set one, and I said, "We didn't get it at the door." Cause normally I get to the door and I say, "You sat here. Oh, you from Jackson County? You over here?" I said, I got up and I said, "Guys, y'all move around a little bit." I said, "Y'all, everybody in my department knows each other." And I said, "I want y'all to meet these people." And they kind of, that's how you know, they was all moving around the table talking.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good, and I'm glad to see the. I think Sheriff Weldon to.
I couldn't
be a
remember his
part of
name.
it. Yeah, be a part of it. We hoped. I know that Sheriff Cross and I are going to go down and when he can take him to lunch and tell him about the show that we have here, and hopefully he'll be up to be a part of, partake in the sheriff talks. I have not met him, but I've heard good things. I think he was the chief at Valley Head, I believe. If I'm, so he had prior law enforcement experience before running. I believe that's correct. We're going to try to get him on. I noticed the intro. Matter of fact, his pictures up here on our back has already been changed, and he's on the. He's on our graphics that we're showing because we cover all of DeKalb County as well as Jackson and Marion and Dade, and actually there's a little part of Marshall County that's
Gunnersville, right?
Yeah, it goes down, and I'm familiar, but it's been a long time. They said that we go all the way down to the bridge that goes right over into Gunnersville. So we've got
Below Scottsboro,
all the way down. I guess kind of.
Well, the reason I'm familiar with, I hate to say I'm familiar with other places because of eating, but we go to the top of the river.
Top of the river. I was fixing to say, yeah, I have.
Gunnersville's the prettiest little town I've ever been through.
It is nice.
If you drive down through the middle of it, you don't see old cars sitting around. Everything just as neat and pretty. It's a pretty little town.
It is, and right there, the river. I mean, it is.
Where
really
you
nice.
turn to go to the top of the river, they're building cabins along the. I don't know what lake that is, but it's some kind of big lake. But they're
Lake Gunnersville, I guess.
I guess it is, but they're really building it up. There's I was over there. I went down with our church about 6 months ago, and they're really building cabins and stuff on that road that goes to top of the river. And you go down there on. Last time we went on top of the river it was a Saturday, and we got they don't open about 1 or 2 o'clock. And we got there about 2, and there was people everywhere. And I thought, we on there. But, 15, 20 minutes, we was in eating. I mean,
that's good.
It's huge downstairs, but it's got an upstairs. I bet it can hold 500 people.
It is big. It is big. Now you got me thinking about dinner.
Then they throw that. They bring out that cornbread in skillets from Lodge, little old small.
Yeah.
And that slaw. And every time I try not to do it,
And the sweet tea.
And I get full on cornbread and slaw. Then here comes that plate of fish.
That's a trick. That's they don't want you to leave hungry. You won't.
No,
you won't leave.
We usually take a to-go box with us, because it's too much to eat.
I was gonna. You was talking about training earlier, and I know you got in-services going on, and I don't think the folks, just every day, folks really think. State requires
40 hours.
all professionals, EMTs, paramedics, law enforcement officers, doctors, nurses, to have continuing education.
It is.
And sometimes, firearm training. It's not less like you graduated from the academy. You have to go qualify and stay qualified.
I like, for my department, We don't always do it, but I like to see them go at least 4 times a year on the firing range. Right now we have to use the state firing range on Suck Creek, and it's a pretty good distance. I'm trying to look for a place to build our own so we can have one. But in service yesterday was Hamilton County SWAT team, but it wasn't SWAT training. It was designed more for the everyday patrol officer, and we're trying something different this year. Usually it's 40 hours sitting in the classroom, just sitting there. We did about 2 or 3 hours classroom, then the schools were off yesterday on account of the flooding, so the training center, the Marion County High School, is just probably a quarter of a mile from. So about 4 o'clock, they shut down, and every officers went down and they did a simulation. Took 5 officers at a time, going through the hallways, trying to find the bad guy, and actually had these little things shoot the little paintballs, and it showed it. And like I said, did 5 officers at a time. 5 officers at a time, and showed them how to line up, and it was good training because they really enjoyed it. Like I said, we're trying to do something different, still just sitting in the classroom for 40 hours, listen to a guy tell you something about this or that. Going out and do hands-on. This afternoon, they're going to do vehicle stops. We're actually going to go out in the parking lot and show them how to stop vehicles. You know, if you stop a vehicle, the proper thing to do to save your life. Like they tell them, you know, this is save your life, you know. And it was showing them how to search building stuff. Like I said, it was towards the everyday patrol officer that may not be on a SWAT team, you know, what to do, just to, you know, and like I tell them, a little bit of training may save your life.
Oh,
sometime.
absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
If you'll take it serious, pay attention, you may catch on something that you use tonight or tomorrow night or next week that might save your life. So,
well, as you know, while you were talking, I thought about felony takedowns, where you would take down someone that's either suspected of a felony or has committed a felony. You approach that totally different than just a regular type of.
Of course, like the officers from
and they don't do it very often. Is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, getting
like the
them
officer
to
from
practice
Hamilton County said, you know, we can sit here and train and all that, but he said, you know, when the first shot fired, everything goes crazy, you know, and they're just trying to keep your wits about you, you know, and you know, and this was actually, I had all my SRO officers there yesterday, and this was more training for them too. Mm-hmm. You know, Hamilton County guys just told them, said, you know, SRO officers, you know, your job is to go in. And
oh, absolutely.
We used the example of the officer in Florida. Right. You know, his life's ruined. He probably had. I hadn't kept up with him. He probably had to move away from that area. You know, we're talking about the one that stood outside and could hear and was waiting on backup. You know, and like the Hamilton County guy, he should have went on in.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think.
You know, he went in retired out, but you know that he can't go out in the community down there no more.
Yeah.
People would harass him or threaten him, cuss him, and everything else. I'm sure he's had to move.
It definitely altered his life.
Oh,
but I mean, obviously, but look at the lives that were altered.
They were terrible.
And you know, I think what you and I have seen is the fact that maybe, and we don't know, it wasn't in his mind, but the hesitation that it looked like it caused, he could have kept 1 or 2 of those
alive,
or 3 or 4 or 5. Right. You know, by at least engaging
the bad thing about that,
person.
It got national publicity, and then it showed it night after night, him standing there,
right,
looking down the hallway, and at the same time, he was hearing gunshots.
Right.
And you know, like I said, I'm not standing up for the man at all. I mean, he should have went in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what the guys from Hamilton County was telling my SRO, you know, hey, you might die, but you better go on in, because, you know, I'm sure this man has probably sat there a million times and said, I wish I'd went on in. If nothing else, I might have saved some lives, you know.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely, it's good to know, and we started this segment saying, you know, there's a lot of training that goes on, repetitive training, And I
you
think,
get over the time you kind of get laid back. When you're in, we're not in a Chicago area or something where we just something all the time. And you kind of get out of the routine, and then when something happens, you're not prepared. So that's what in-service training is
in
for.
the area like that you sheriff in is the fact that you've got rural areas where a lot of your officers know the folks and they know the type calls they're going to have, but then you got the interstate and you don't know what's out there. There's some some bad guys that travel through there, so you got to be prepared for the Otis, if you will,
right?
Because you know how to deal with Otis.
I've always said, the interstate brings in a lot of money to the towns and stuff, but also brings in a lot of problems. I mean, if Kimball, has the biggest exit with the most stores and stuff, but they're constantly having to go to stores stuff, so and so hanging out in the parking lot. You never know what you're going to run up on those situations.
You got to be ready to go no matter what. And I'm glad to see. I mean, the foresight that you've had to be able to put a training facility together that's actually there.
It was great yesterday. For the last 35 years, I've been going in service training for 36 years. We've always had to borrow somebody's building or do this. I've got my own now. Like yesterday, this room is as big as this room here, so it can hold 100 officers with plenty of room. The thing about it is when they get through, they can just leave their stuff laying there and won't be bothered. Used to, we'd had to move tables and maybe clear it out for another meeting next morning or something. That's ours. We can use it how we want, and it's really laid out good, and it's a good facility.
All right, well, that is great. Got another break coming up. Stay with us. You're watching Sheriff Talk with Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett. We're back after this.
When you need a licensed plumber, call Stacy Ledwell and the staff at Mr. Rooter in Scottsboro. Mr. Rooter provides your home or business with advanced solutions using high-tech equipment. Our commitment to customer satisfaction shines through in our personalized service. When you schedule an appointment, our professionals will dedicate time to explain the work that has to be done. Our staff will give you upfront pricing, so you'll know exactly what's involved before any work begins. We even pump septic tanks and do new construction on houses. Fully licensed, bonded, and insured, Mr. Rooter in Scottsboro. Call Stacy Ledwell today to set up an appointment at 256-574-4710.
The Trenton Telephone Company is alerting customers that a mandatory 10-digit calling in the 706 area code will soon begin. That means if you live in the 706 area code, you'll be required to dial all 10 digits on your telephone. The 10-digit dialing will be toll-free, and there will be no charge to you. The switchover for the Trenton Telephone customers will begin on February the 27th, and you'll be required to use all full 10 digits to dial your local telephone number. If you have any questions, call the Trenton Telephone Company at 706-657-4367.
Hey, I'm John Green, General Manager here at Lance McClarty Ford. Whether you're looking for a car, new car, truck, or SUV, we're here to satisfy your vehicle needs.
Right now, take advantage of savings on the 2019 Ford Ranger Lariat truck with EcoBoost engine and auto start-stop technology, only $37,375. Or the 2019 Ford Fiesta S sedan, sale price only $11,667. See dealer for details and additional fees.
Come on down to see us at 1916 Glen Boulevard. Lance McClarty Ford, your hometown dealer.
When I first came down to RE/MAX Property Center, the thing that stuck out to me was the fact that it's like a family atmosphere here. Everybody enjoys working with each other, and all of our clients that come through the door, we treat them like family. We've got agents that's been in the business since the 80s, so that's one thing that sets us apart is the fact that the experience that we have within our company. We have so much to offer. So we invite you to call, text, or send a carrier pigeon if you have to have our team work for you.
Team RE/MAX, we're on your side.
Hey, that cold weather is coming, and it's never too early to get your winter supplies from Rising Fawn Hardware and Supply. 4300 Highway 11 South in Rising Fawn. Everything you need to wrap pipes under the house, winterize around the doors. Make sure your outside faucets are protected, and keep those drafts from coming through the windows. Get your supplies for fall and winter for the home and farm today. Rising Fawn Hardware and Supply. 4300 Highway 11 South in Rising Fawn. Telephone 706-462-2071.
Welcome back to Sheriff Talk as we continue with Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett here on the program. We were talking, you've just recently got a grant for some new enhancements to courthouse security.
Yeah, every year you can apply for a grant to make the courtrooms more secure, and we were talking about the incident in Atlanta, 20 years ago?
It's been a long time. It completely changed courthouse security in Georgia.
It was
absolutely.
Just, the guy broke in and
overpowered
a guard, got her weapon and went in the courtroom, killed a judge and a court reporter, then got outside and shot up some cars, killed some more people. I think he finally, I think they caught him, or did they shoot him? I can't remember.
I cannot remember either.
I remember he was ex-football player or something, but anyhow, I'm sure that changed a lot of more security in courts. Every year I applied for a grant. This year, every county in our district applied for a grant. I've got $32,000 for putting material behind the judge's bench, a bulletproof material, putting in a new panic alarm system, putting in, we bought more equipment like belly cuffs, handcuffs, leg cuffs, and also training for the court officers. Instead of just going through a 2-day school, I'm trying to find one that can maybe 5 days. Some other departments, I think Sequatchie County's got an X-ray machine. Every agency in our district got some money, so we're in the process now.
You already had a metal
I have
detector.
a metal detector. We have a secure guard out front, and you have to go through the metal detector.
A lot of people, I hope that there's nobody that sees that, I hate to do that, because you do have to go through and take your keys out and, and cell phones. Of course, in our court system here, they don't allow cell phones in the courtrooms.
We have most people take them back. We don't allow knives. Of course, we don't allow guns, but we don't allow knives. And I have over the years. Used to, when you come in the lobby, when I took over sheriff, there was like 6 Coke machines, and of course they made a lot of money because people was. And over the years, they were taking the drinks and stuff up to the courtrooms and rent the carpet. We had to replace carpet in 3 courtrooms, so I had all the soft drink machines and candy machines taken out. You're not allowed to take, anything upstairs like that. And because I remember when I called a certain company about taking the machine out, that woman just got plumb. She said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Yes, I can." I said, "That's my authority." And of course, they made a lot of money off the machines.
I can imagine.
You imagine having soft drink machines and
you probably had 200 or 300 people there.
Yeah, but see, we weren't getting anything out of it. It was just the company making the money, and it was causing us. We ended up spending about $25,000 replacing the carpet in all the courtrooms because Cokes were being spilt and coffee is being spilt. So
right.
I had all those machines taken out, and just because people just dropped it and spilled it and everything. Right. So it's made it look better up in court.
Well, and that is good. But speaking of the sheriff and the sheriff's authority, I was watching the Weather Channel. We had a lot of really severe weather, I guess here, but really to our west is where the biggest rains and the thunderstorms and tornadoes. And I was watching the Weather Nation, and they were talking about a big thunderstorm that was running through McNairy County.
Over in Middle Tennessee?
Yeah. Of course, that's where Sheriff Pusser was sheriff, and I hadn't heard that county in a while. So, I recognized it when they said it in McNairy County.
I've actually went through there. It's in I can't think of the name of the little town, but actually, I was going through there probably about 10, 12 years ago, and I was on my way to Memphis and for a meeting, and instead of driving 40, I took 64 through Middle Tennessee and over to McNairy County. Then you can take that highway, I believe it's 19, and it goes back into Mississippi, and then you come back into Memphis. But when I was going through there, I had some extra time, and my wife was with me, and I seen that big sign. So we turned left, you know, and from the movie, I thought he lived on a farm or something, but we turned left and go down there, and about a block away, you know, it's in a subdivision and right next to a ballpark, and went through the house and spent 2 or 3 hours there.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think on the movie it did show him like in a farmhouse.
Yeah.
You know, kind of off the road. Of course, I guess
Now, it's a split level house, and you go in. It was, I believe, it was $10 to get in, and everything is still the way the day he was killed in a car wreck, and everything in the house is still the same as it was the day he got killed.
Wow.
And the thing that caught my there was a bar there by the kitchen, and the thing that caught my eye was the phone there was the old rotary phone. And it was still sitting there, you know.
Well,
You remember the old black rotary phone?
Oh,
you
yeah.
had? Yeah.
Early 70s?
Yes. Probably about 70. I think he got killed in about 76 or 77.
I can't remember the...
He was sheriff. See, back then, you could serve, sheriff's term was 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, and you could lay out and run again. Because I think he was on the sheriff like 3 or 4 years. But when we went downstairs, there was a 71 Lincoln Continental that he drove was sitting there, and the Corvette was sitting there on a trailer that he got killed in. Then they had a little gift store set up. But they had bought the house next to him, tore it down, and made a parking lot out of it. But it was interesting. We spent about 2 hours walking through.
I think his daughter still has control over all of that, you know. And
I've seen her at the Tennessee Sheriff's meeting. She used to come up there, and I think she was promoting a book or something about him. And actually, probably the first movie I seen at Powell's Crossroads, and they had a drive-in movie theater, and a bunch of us went up there and seen Walking Tall.
that was definitely the movie, and probably still to this day the most famous sheriff in the state of Tennessee, I guess, with you know, getting killed and his old school of justice, I guess, if you wanted to,
Of course, back then, it's Adamsville is the city he lived in. Actually, when you get back on 64 and going back west, you can go about 2 miles and sharp curve, and there's a big cemetery, and he's buried there in that cemetery because it's got a big American flag. So we stopped by there, but I guess, I mean, Adamsville is a pretty good sized town. It's kind of one of those towns that's off the interstate. So a lot of those towns like that are off interstate. They have to have their own, Lowe's, and they're in town. So movie theaters and things. It's not like here we could run to Chattanooga or Scottsboro somewhere. But Adamsville is a pretty good sized town. But that Highway 19 was where all the night spots, beer joints, or whatever you call them, because they were located right on the Mississippi-Tennessee line. And I told people, I said, well, back in the 70s and the early 60s, my understanding, Marion County had as many probably beer joint stuff situated next to Georgia-Alabama lines as probably as McNairy County did. I think older people told me at one time we had 19 from the state line in South Pittsburgh all the way to Helltown, nightclubs and the Big House. One of them was called the Big House. All of them had a unique name and things. But
well, that's a little
we don't have that.
No.
We don't have that now. I think there may be 2 or 3 places now in Marion County, but most of them don't cause any problems, and just a different atmosphere.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed over the years, but that caught my ear. I mean, even now, that McNairy County the other night when they were talking about there was a strong thunderstorm.
Well, that area, I've been out there, West Tennessee, out towards Lauderdale County, which is like 80 miles north of Memphis. It's the west side of his county. Actually, is the Mississippi River. You just don't realize how flat that place is till you get out there. I can see why that part of the state has a lot of tornadoes up in Lauderdale County, because it's farming area and it's flat. I was actually out there visiting the sheriff in Lauderdale County and doing a tour of his jail, and farming was everything, like he said. And he said you want some tomatoes to take home? And I said, yeah. He opened up a room, and I guess there's 5,000 boxes of tomatoes.
Wow.
He said they raise their own tomatoes and sell them or something
Wow.
out there. So
At the jail?
Yeah,
I've
at
heard
the
of
jail,
I've
yeah.
heard of our jails, doing gardens and.
But I've
selling
never
stuff
seen
like that.
so many boxes of tomatoes.
That is a lot. That is for.
But
for
you
sure.
think we're rural here? You get out in some of those East Tennessee, up around up towards North Carolina, and in West Tennessee, you just really see. We're not as rural as we really think we are when you see that.
You're talking about the McNairy County. My wife and I, different sheriffs and how they're portrayed on television. Did you watch the Longmire series?
No. I know what you're talking about. But I
Yeah,
haven't watched it.
you need. I mean, we really enjoyed that. Based out in Wyoming, and it was he drove a Ford Bronco. I mean, it was a really good series. It was on I think A&E for a while, and then it ended up on Netflix where I think 6, 8 episodes.
Well, I mean,
years.
some of the sheriffs across the state are characters. I can over in one.
They ought to have their own show.
Yeah,
huh?
one of the sheriffs over in Middle Tennessee. He's not in office anymore, but he drove a big long wheelbase Dodge pickup with the big tires and a lift kit on it.
Couldn't sneak up on anybody, could he?
But I see he comes to sheriff's meeting, and I said, well, that's what I like to drive, and I said, okay, but it just struck me as being funny. I mean, it stood out like a sore thumb. It was just, the tires on to that high,
Wow, that is something. Well, we've come to an end of another edition of Sheriff Talk. Been a good, we've talked about various things throughout the hour.
We pretty well stayed on law enforcement. We kind of bounced around a little bit, but
well, and
I'm clumsy today. I'm knocking everything over, but besides that,
just keep the family and the Chattanooga police officers in your prayers, because having to go through that. Especially the ones that went through the academy with him, that probably knew him best of all here in Chattanooga, even though he had just moved here to become an officer. And you got to in this day and time, I think you got to really respect somebody for stepping up.
You don't really think about it too. You stop a car on the interstate, and everything just comes by. And I've been out there before, and the cars shake when these trucks go by.
Oh yeah,
and the wind blowing, and it's dangerous out there. Dangerous.
Absolutely. Well, Sheriff, thank you. And for those of you watching, don't forget we're here every week, and we'll be back next week. Maybe we can get Ray back with us, and we'll have another episode of Sheriff Talk. We'll see you next week. You've been watching Sheriff Talk, live from the studios of KWN TV7, all around the tri-state area, as we give you information that you can use concerning law enforcement. Join us again next week for another episode of Sheriff Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV7.